Here we go. Ah, there we go. Hello there. Hello. Welcome back to my beautiful channel. My guest today is my beautiful friend all the way down there in South Africa. It is the one and only Shanti, also known as Chantelle Meyburgh. Hello, my love.
Danny, it's so good to see you again. I know we've been intending to meet for a long time, and just as you and I were chatting off air, it's like, where has this year gone? But I'm so happy we got to do it before the year ended, so I'm so happy to be back. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing so good. Just getting ready for my Galactic Spiritual Informers Conference, which is the greatest global disclosure conference at our current time. It's just next week on the 27, 28, 29 of September. Some of the biggest secrets ever landed on the planet. Secrets of technology, alien technology, real life ETs in our audience. We're going to have an entire fleet of real UFOs, not the ones the
Wow.
military make, and though I call them have a go UFOs, the fake ones the military make. Because the
Yeah, of course.
military, the dark side of the military, they're filling their fake UFOs that look exactly like anti-grav machinery with, little ones transporting their drugs, their guns, their arms, and then blaming other people. So yes, we're basically divulging all the secrets of the world in Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, which is next week, and we're so excited. But Shanti, I'm so glad to have you back on. I admire you so much on so many levels. I'm often shouting out to your channel. I say to my beautiful, the people that come and watch my channel, that beautiful audience, I say, jump over to Aquarius Rising Africa, Aquarius Rising Africa, Shanti, because you had a bigger channel than me. You were, as still you are, handling real top heavyweight personnel in disclosure in the satanic realm as well. And you got
Yes.
taken down, you got kneecapped, and you work every day, Shanti, 3 or 4 times a day, live all the time, bringing those people forward. Tell us a bit about you and how it's been trying to build back up. My God.
Well, thank you so much, and I really appreciate your beautiful introduction. Yes, absolutely. Aquarius Rising Africa. In fact, we started 4 years ago, and I can't even remember how long ago. It must have been a year, maybe just more now. Of course, out of the blue, wake up, and it was the channel was gone. So immediately we start up again. And it is a challenge because once they strike you, you're very much shadow banned. And I don't really care. I just carry on. I mean, they're forever demonetizing me or limiting my viewers or whatever. But most of my audience knows that anyway. So yes, in terms of growth, are we growing? We're steady, steadily growing, but definitely very shadow banned. So it's always nice to have people like yourself who give us a promo. And also, mostly for the audio, for our guests, because as you said, Danny, I interview some really heavyweight people who are carrying a lot of clout in the industry. And what I know for sure is that they are the real deal. We get so many showmen out there, and there's so much infiltration going on. We have to be so discerning, and we know how it works. They'll give you 80% truth and 20% lies, and then that's how they create chaos, because that's how people start dividing and conquering. And it's the whole thing of division and fighting and mistrust. They love to create mistrust, and the minute we stop trusting each other, we're doomed. We have to have that connection of trust between each other. Otherwise, who do we trust? And especially when people are coming out of SRA, it's such a touch and go field. I don't know what the correct word is, but people have come out of there. They've experienced horrific things. They are still heavily targeted. Some of them are still heavily programmed. Some of them still have handlers and attachments and what have you, to them. Some of them are, yeah, and others are out and teaching the world incredibly beautiful ways of healing. Because when you've come out of that and you healed to the point where you only have forgiveness in your heart. That is a very beautiful thing. And that is what attracts me to these people, because I can't imagine any worse hell than what they've been through, the survivors of satanic ritual abuse.
Yeah. Let's talk about your biggest current hitters that I view. Well, one of them, I'm so blessed to know her myself. And I think it was Gloria Masters in New Zealand, another survivor of SRA and trafficking. Gloria Masters in New Zealand, who introduced me to the beautiful Rachel Vaughan in Australia. And Rachel again brought the Australian government to its knees recently because they had to acknowledge her and the harm done to her and many little ones who were unalived in her witnessing due to her father, another pedo who is gladly dead. And you have her on your channel. So we'll talk a bit about Rachel Vaughan in a second. And also those that don't know Rachel, Jessie Czebotar, Czebotar, who claims to be a survivor from a satanic bloodline where she was being programmed and groomed to become a mother of darkness. So please tell us a bit about Rachel, and then please tell us about Jessie and what is a mother of darkness.
Okay, let's start with Rachel. Yes, I know she's started going on your channel too, I think quite recently. I met Rachel maybe 2.5 years ago already. She first started coming onto Aquarius Rising Africa. So I have a wonderful history with her. She's an amazing survivor. And recently I've just started interviewing her again as well. She's beautiful. She, as you know, has gone through horrific things with her father and of course the Bowmont kids, and as you say, now has received restitution from the Australian government, because by God, a lot of my focus has gone onto Australia because it is so depraved there. It is, and I do believe it starts when they sent the ships full of prisoners over to Australia, and I honestly believe Australia became the main hub for MK Ultra. It really did. And so the most horrific stories come out of Australia, unfortunately. So Rachel, yeah, and I mean, she's another one, who's just gone through this journey and has, obviously taken in, because of her beautiful spiritual and psychic gifts, abused, weaponized against her and many others around her, and is now using them in such an aligned, beautiful way in which they were originally intended. I think it's so important for us to understand that we've been indoctrinated to believing that anything out of the physical realm is evil. So being psychic and remote viewing or whatever it is evil. It's not. It's available to us all. If your spirit and body and being are aligned with that moment where you can naturally step into, because of work you've done on yourself, okay, because of spiritual alignment you've already gone through, done a lot of shadow work, you automatically go and you move on into a higher vibration. It's a natural God-given thing. And then of course, the more you move into a higher vibration, you become more responsible with your spiritual gifts. You use them in a responsible way. You don't abuse them. And unfortunately, what the negative forces do is they take that and they abuse it completely. So the whole label is, it's evil. And it's not. And Rachel and people like Rachel and lots of others like her are, in my opinion, showing people how to use your gifts in a beautiful and an aligned way. So yeah, then of course Jessie Czebotar, you all know me, my channel started with Jessie. She was actually groomed to be the Queen Mother of Darkness. There's a Queen Mother and then 4 mothers. The Queen Mother of Darkness is, at the time, the head of the shadow government. So her proctor, her grandmother, was at the time, when she was around 4 years old, the Queen Mother of Darkness. A little Catholic lady, you would not believe it when you see it. But as people like Caleb Jade would always say, the ones that are big in the dark, so to speak, they don't dress all goth and what have you, you know. They are completely sitting in the background, living incredible cover lives. So if you see her little grandmother, you would never imagine that this was the most powerful woman on the planet, basically, because we understand that the Queen Mother of Darkness was the one that would have direct connection with Lucifer each and every night. Lucifer would channel his desires to her, and then she would give instruction to the 4 other mothers of darkness, who would then be in charge of their different quadrants, like the Knights Templars, and then start feeding the information down. So that would be her job. And that was the most powerful position in the Illuminati. The Queen Mothers of Darkness are no longer in control, I'm told, because the system has split. She has told me that the system is now split. But that's basically what Jessie was groomed to be. So she had her Luciferian training from the age of 4 till about 10. She does tell her story a lot, so I'm not going to go into that again and duplicate a lot of information that's already out there. But yeah, so, but right now, you know, she's also a whistleblower. She's a chaplain. She's one of these beautiful Christians who's a true believer, who has no judgment, who is an absolute healer in her own being. And I love Jessie. Her information on the system, she is a genius when it comes to breaking down the system and helping us understand how they symbol. So, you know, if you look at a lot of my shows with her, we've broken down the Mormon Church, because the Mormon Church is one of the 5 pillars of the Illuminati. So how the trafficking takes part through the Mormon Church and how they symbol and sign. So I want to encourage viewers to have a look at that. She grew up, I think her family was Catholic. The Catholics, Jesuit Catholics, are another pillar. And of course, so much abuse happens in the churches. Every survivor you talk to, the churches have been there. Churches and politicians and celebrities of sorts, right, are always involved. So it's a gruesome, gruesome, gruesome world. Heartbreaking stories every single day. But man, it shows me, and I know a lot of other people as well. It's such a testimony to the courage of the human spirit. And boy, are we showing them how much courage we have. And it delights me to be able to bring these people forward.
You're very brave, you're very loving, you're very gracious. You have a beautiful intelligence about you that people can relate to. You're very down to earth. I love that you can be a fiery bitch like me, because we need that fire, right? We need to be able to like have a little pop back.
Oh boy, yes. I mean, it's what sparks us up, you know. But again, it's so important that we don't let that fire burn out of control and become this forest fire. We focus, you know, that you know, in yoga we call it the Agni, the inner fire. And when that inner fire ignites, it's like igniting your spirit. And when your spirit ignites, we have to listen, because we're either going to then listen to all sorts of other things and tumble around in a flurry of fire, or we're going to go, right, let's burn forward. Let's do what we need to do. Let's burn a pathway. That's where we go.
Exactly. You know, and it's funny because of all the grooming and schooling that you and I have had also, like growing up all our lives, that when we get to a position where it's such a responsibility to have a channel where you and I and the kind of people that we do bring on with their horrendous, horrific, unthinkable, unimaginable realities that are covered up but have been organized and created by a system that does and has tried to dominate, but of course is failing. I tell people on my channel the whole time, the system is crumbling, it's coming down, it's failing. You guys just heard Chantelle Meyburgh tell you the same thing, that the 4 mothers of darkness that were beheaded or headed up by the Queen Mother of Darkness no longer are in place. These are at the top of the satanic system, guys. This is huge information. You also mentioned there that the 4 mothers of darkness under the Queen Mother would also be running the principalities, and these are also like quadrants. These are also north, east, south, and west. These are geographical locations. You guys do so much decoding on, like, if you go into I used to live on the island of Coronado in California, right? Half of that is a nuclear war base, military base. Half of it is housing. It was where Wallace Simpson, King Edward abdicated to, blah, blah, blah. But when you go on that island, it's like Stepford and Son. If there's a blade of grass out of place, it is in the local paper. There was a blade of grass on Sea Avenue out of place today. They're ridiculous. But when you go on that island, you see a block of these symbols, saying this is the local Rotary Club, this is the local Masonic Lodge, this is the local blah, 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 blah. What they're doing is they're symbolizing to anyone coming on, especially because it's very highly nuclear military, that this is where the water magic is, or the sex magic, or this or that. So each town can have its symbology, which coming to your channel, which is why I'm really promoting your channel today, coming to your channel, the people that want more of the real inside decoding of the Mormon churches, decoding of the symbology, decoding of the Knights of Malta, the Illuminati, you gotta go to Aquarius Rising Africa, guys. Now, you mentioned...
Thank you, Dani. I appreciate that, because I so agree with you that I have amazing guests, and after 4 years, I like to keep them as regulars, so that the viewers get to know them, get to know their story, get to know their information as well. And it's true, we decode a lot of stuff. I think yesterday we were doing all the princesses and the priests and the was it priests and priestesses, I think, knights and priestesses. It's whatever the shows yesterday were, but Jessie goes into all the symbolism, the badges they wear, that sort of stuff, what that means, what lineage that relates to, and just going into all of that stuff. It's incredible. This is information because we know these guys for the longest time have spoken a language of their own. They speak their own language, and that's symbolism. Now, we know that in order for them to do what they do, they have to feel like they've given us permission, or that we've given them permission. So by speaking to us through media, social media, whatever it is, symbolism, they are speaking their language. It's too bad that we don't understand it. They're telling us, and that's how they are released of their karma, because they're telling us what they're doing. It's up to us to learn the language. It's like going to China and not stopping at a stop street because you didn't know you had to stop and then you get hit by a truck. Too bad. You needed to learn the language and the road signs before you went to China, right? So now that we know what we know, let us learn the language. Let us see how they speak to each other. Because all the time they're showing each other through this, or I don't know, that and whatever they do, where they're doing things, where they're sacrificing, where the next meetings are. If you look at the churches, the Mormon temples, they're showing you what they're doing there. This is where sacrifices happen. That's where magic happens. That's the entities to which they're connected. I mean, it's still a mind boggle for me. I'm not going to lie. A lot of it is still very confusing. So I oftentimes need to go back and listen and re-listen, because it's like, wow. And then when you suddenly see a building like that in front of you in your home or hometown or home state, you go, holy crap, this is what I'm dealing with here. And when you know what you're dealing with, then you know how to respond. But right now, when we are in just one big muddle and chaos and trying to swim around in the swamp, that's exactly what these guys rely on. They put us into a panic. They create all sorts of psyops and fear-mongering, fear porn, because that's how we disconnect. And when we disconnect, that's how we get pulled in by the tide.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, and the level again of decoding that you do with Jessie Zabota is absolutely mind-blowing. and very important to speak the language, understand the language. It's so evil, beyond comprehension, that we didn't know we had to learn that, and they bank on that. They laugh at that. They don't care. They'll see us all walk off cliffs and just go, oh, well, too bad, so sad, and move on. They have no souls, no hearts, no compassion for anything. Yet they are not happy. They are miserable. I don't care about them either. But it's really good to kind of bring it to the fore, you know, and to kind of to lay it out in a way that people who are seeking, searching, and are finally waking up, you know. Took you long enough, guys. Don't worry though. And we're never going to say we told you so, because it is not funny, right? It is not funny to say to someone, told you so, because what I want so dearly, and I know you do, Shanti, is for everyone to be where you and I are. It's for everyone to have the knowledge that you and I have sought for, fought for, worked for, you know, taken time, because we can't bear to see our brothers and our sisters suffering anymore. Let's talk a little bit about another one of your great guests. His name is Leo Zagami, and he is former senior Illuminati. Tell us about what he brings to your channel.
Leo Zagami comes on once a month, and he's Italian, feisty and fiery, just the way we like the Italians. And he's born into Italian bloodlines. Was the 33rd degree Illuminati member, Mason. He's written incredible books. He's now actually just finished volume 11, called Confessions of the Illuminati. And in each and every book, he goes into detail. I mean, where this man has this knowledge, God only knows. But I'm very grateful for people like that who just are able to just bring forth this knowledge, because you can ask him a topic about anything he's written about and he will know, you know. So yes, he's also bloodlines to the royals and stuff like that, got out and is now again blowing the whistle. I think he's banned out of Italy at the moment. He's not allowed to go back there. He's now living in America. But yeah, also spills a lot of tea on the Vatican, stuff like that. Leo's great, yeah.
And you got to really listen, because his accent is proper Italiano. Buongiorno, Italiano. I can't understand a word he's saying. We've got to really listen. You can slow it down as well. I don't know if people know that, like, on every YouTube video, guys, you know, when you click on the bottom and the little icons come up, you got like a little wheel. Click on that. It says playback speed. You can speed it up or you can slow it down, you know, so that might be easy. And obviously subtitles, although your subtitles don't always come up. But, and also again, guys, to remember that, you know, with Shanti, because she's so targeted, and her particular guests are so targeted, because they do wield some of the biggest truths on the whole planet. You are welcome. Those of you that didn't know Shanti, you are so welcome. Again, me and Shanti, we're on the same page. We just love humanity. We want you guys to have it all. But yeah, there's such an education there that you guys can give to yourselves. So yeah, Leo Zagami. Now, a more recent guest that you've been sharing with us, I want to say before I say anything, I could cry every time I hear Caleb, Jade speak. I have a profound sadness in my heart. Part of me wants to pick that little boy out in him from the screen and just hold him and just say to him, I love you, I got you, because I know that man has gone through profound suffering, as everyone has. I don't know what it is with his voice. The mama bear in me comes out. But please give us insight into Caleb, Jade, and how important it is to listen to all of his information on magic. Thank you, my love.
Yeah, Caleb Jade is certainly, in my opinion, probably the only one on this planet right now that carries the information that he does in one person. I'm not saying no one has that information, but I'm saying in one person. He's been a guest of mine for about a year now as well, but he reached out to me about 8 months before he became a guest, and we started talking. And he started slowly but surely sharing his story. In a nutshell as well, but I would definitely recommend that anyone who wants to hear the story should go to my channel and start. I've got a playlist of his stuff, and start with the first interview that I did with him called his Gateway Experience, and then the second one called the Wild Hunt. That will give you an insight into Caleb's beginnings. But basically, he's half Native American, half German, royal bloodlines, had a horrific start. His mum aborted his twin at late term. So already you can see how the trauma starts, how they started the trauma. Long story, but basically after the age of 2, she did not want him because it was not her husband's child. Then the aunt had him for 2 years and then sold him into Catholic Scottish Rite Freemason family, where they adopted 11 Native American kids and 13 kids in total. Well, let's not begin. I mean, he's got the right bloodlines, he's got the right spiritual aptitude, very powerful soul, incredibly powerful soul, that they recognized from the get-go and try to turn them into what, and yes, of course, got it right. He was a child, he was in the Gateway Experience. At the age of 10, he was taken into the Wild Hunt, which is where these mythical creatures hunt the kids. He was captured, had a very traumatic experience there. It was after that they then had him sighted to be this warrior, and they then trained him in Star Wars training. After that, they trained him to become this warrior. He was very powerful in the arcane, spent 35 years there, mastered all 9 levels of magic, very angry, very tormented, spent many years in the US military, traveling between dimensions, hunting giants, encountering cryptids, working for the shadow military, of course, you know, the shadow government and the shadow military work together. So yeah, he's told some of his story. There's a lot I know he doesn't tell, obviously, because of that. And then he left about a decade ago. He turned his back on the system, and of course since then been cut off at the knees. But he's on his walk back now, and he's doing a very public healing walk. It's very difficult for him. There are days, because he's highly PTSD, so there are days where the PTSD takes over, but it's just so incredible for me to see how people have come together and have just surrounded him with love. You know, when you've lived in that world of darkness, you don't get to live happily ever after within 5 minutes. It's a tough path you walk back, especially initially. And I'm very grateful because I think Caleb is going to surprise us all.
Oh.
Yeah, he's going to surprise us all.
Oh, that's so
In
beautiful.
a really good way. Yeah.
You know, and just the way you talk about Caleb there, you know, you yourself, I mean, you clearly love him, you've grown to love him, you care about him, you respect him. I have watched you like flick somebody in the balls who is being rude, you know, like in real time and defend your friend, you know, when Caleb makes it clear that he has such trauma that he sometimes has to speak through clenched teeth in order to make sound due to so many physical traumas that man has suffered. And here he is doing a service to humanity that he didn't need to do. I mean, he worked at
Right.
the highest levels of dark magic. I mean, I hope he's still not carrying guilt for that, but he still didn't need to do any more. You know what I mean? Anything, yet he found you. And you know, I honestly truly, you know, consider you an extremely important person on our planet, Chantelle Meyburgh. I really do. I honestly believe that you were selected for many reasons, but because you are a beautiful healer too, you are a kind, loving, compassionate soul. You are no one's bitch. You do not let people own you. You are feisty, you are powerful, but you are sweet, sensitive too. We all are. But I also wanted to say that I feel these particular people I'm referring to and sharing, you know, with the audience that will see this, that you are one that has an ability to touch in and draw out. And there's a real talent for that, my darling.
Oh, Dani, thank you. You know, I've been a healer for many years, and I was born knowing what I know. It was never taught to me. I've just developed it more and more and streamlined it more and more as I've gone along. And I always say, I was born for this time. And I don't say that with any arrogance. It's just my heart knows this is why I'm here. And, you know, I want to say the same thing to you. You know, you are absolutely one firebrand, and I love that because you continue on. And it's so cool to connect with someone like yourself as well, even though we should really be doing it actually more often. But to, you know, I know you have some incredible guests as well on your show. And we actually had a chat off air, and it's just like, you know, we do slightly different things, but still on the same team. We're playing different positions on the same team. And I think that is so cool that we can do that and introduce your guests as well, you know, to my channel. So maybe you want to tell me of one or two of your guests that you would like my guests, or my viewers rather, to learn more about. That would be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the most important people in my life, she just happens to be my best friend in the world, but that is Elena Danan. And it is so extraordinary how much suffering and abuse, mostly from men, mostly from silly boys that want to be on the galactic train, that they're like, oh, look, it's not the spiritual revolution with Jack Canfield and Doreen Virtue and all that lot. Now it's a new birthing of an awakening. Let's jump on it. But this woman, when she speaks, NASA shits its pants because she doesn't hold back. She knows what's happening on and off planet. She's in direct connection. And the thing, again, it's great you said about you and I and what we do. We're playing different positions on the same team, which is so true, because that team essence is humanity. But there are three major elements. There is the military element, the negative and the positive. There is the galactic heritage on planet, inner Earth, on the surface, in our solar system, in our militaries, the galactic. And there is the satanic. So it's satanic, military, and galactics. Those three arenas you and I pierce through. You and I shine all the lots. You and I light up the blowtorches, and we bring it all to the surface. And that's our job in different aspects of corralling the information, right? Yeah. So
Absolutely.
Elena Danan, if you want to know anything, how to spot the liars, what is real about aliens, ETs, what isn't, who is here on the planet. People are locked in still to the grey aliens are here, the reptilian that eat the people and the children are here. They're not here right now. And they keep getting swept along with all these other silly girls and boys who are bullshitting. I think it's very simple. Anyone that promotes the Galactic Federation of Light or the Galactic Federation of Lies, there's your psyop, right? There's your negative.
I'm just laughing as you say that. I'm like, yeah, I got it.
Right. And on the other side, we've got the Galactic Federation of Worlds, which is a physical military operation that works in tandem with the Earth militaries. And now we've got 47 countries who've signed agreements, Artemis agreements and treaties, admitting they have a space fleet. So now we're finally realizing, oh my holy God, the whole world military, the good ones, have been in on the fact that they've got their own spacecraft and they're leaving the planet. And yet who do we look to? Bloody NASA. Shame on you, NASA. Sit down and shut up. No one listens to NASA anymore. They were the go-to for the authority, just like the Vatican, who can also sit down and shut up. The Vatican were the go-to, right? So and that was that whole new world order. They tried to make us as a humanity focus on one-stop shop. Well, it didn't work. You all failed because you are failures. Bye-bye there. And so we're bringing it all to the surface. So Elena Danan is one. My friend JP. JP is an insider man who has just been discharged from the army, special forces. So now he can stand on my stage next week at the Galactic Spiritual Informers, and he can tell the world the reality about what has been happening between here and the moon, that the American military have been going up and down to the moon. The American military have been going in and out of the Colorado, the Red Canyon, the Grand Canyon, and that most of that Grand Canyon is identical to Giza, to the pyramids, where there are pyramids, there are Egyptian temples. Those despicable, they have kept the history of our planet from us. And they have, the bad guys have forced the military to keep guard. Those arsewipes, the billionaires and above, have taken all of the great technology, make themselves younger, not just the red juice they extract out of humans. So everything they've done, people like you and I are sharing. Yeah, so JP is one, Elena Danan is another. Oh God, I have so many guests on my channel. I'll just invite your guys just to go over to my name, Dani Henderson. Excuse me. Now, let's share a bit about your joining with Gnostic, spelled like
Gnostic TV.
Gnostic TV. Tell us about that, please.
Yeah, I've recently joined forces with Gnostic TV as well, which is Jay Matter. The guy, Jay, his name is Jay, not Grey Matter, Jay Matter, M-A-T-T-O. I realized that probably sounded quite funny, so I had to clarify. Wow, what it is Jay actually was originally from Spiritually Raw, and him and his wife started Gnostic TV, and it's an uncensored channel. So I'm starting a channel there. I was actually supposed to start it ages ago, but with so much going on, I decided, let me just do everything, and then, which will hopefully now be after our conference in October, that I'll also have my own channel on Gnostic as well as YouTube. It is happening. I know I've just keep pushing it out, but I'm sorry about that. It's just the way things are right now. I've just, along with Bryce from Esoteric Atlanta and Jay, we've put together a conference also running next weekend. I think it's going to be Saturday and Sunday. We're just finalizing if it's going to be over 1 or 2 days. The Tales of Survival from the Dark Side, which is where I'm introducing to the Gnostic audience and other audiences SRA and the underbelly of the world. So of course we've got amazing speakers again. It will be again Jesse Zabota, Caleb Jade, who also discloses stuff that he hasn't spoken about before. Kathy O'Brien. I mean, Kathy O'Brien is a stranger. Friend. Absolutely. Of course, our beautiful Rachel Vaughan, who both of us know and love. Joanne Breeze, another Australian. Wow, that lady has some stories to tell, and what she's done, I mean, through her healing as well, has now got this Australian, the Kangaroo Sanctuary, that where healing takes place. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, so you guys need to listen to some of my interviews with her as well. But she'll be on the conference. Adrian John Wells, also another very amazing Australian survivor, who his father was killed by the Reagan administration when he was something like 3. And he was head of the mining union in Australia, one of the biggest mining unions. And then how he was trafficked through the American government, the military, and the unions and stuff like that. But basically, it's incredible to see how, when you're looking at his bloodlines, who he belongs to, and how the celebrities now are trying, where they've got his properties and trying to steal his inheritance, basically. And I could never really understand why they were targeting Adrian so heavily, because he's been on the run. And just about 2 weeks before I started, about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, he contacted me. We didn't know whether he was dead or alive.
Oh my God.
Adrian John Wells is alive and well, and is telling big stories as well. And then, of course, it was Dan and Teresa Duke, who are the descendants of Jesse James. They've proved to be the descendants of Jesse James, and how they also just working back their information to how he too is a Freemason, and where his bloodlines come from, and how Was this an MK Ultra operation with Jesse James? All these things, you know, are coming out to the fore. And then, of course, there's Rocker Mike, who Bryce actually interviewed him. I've also had him on my show before. He does all this witchcraft investigation in New York and all this underbelly stuff, which is super, super interesting as well. So yeah, we've got a lineup of very, very cool guests, and I really hope we're going to be putting it out here in the next day or two. So please watch the space as well and come and support our survivors. Yeah, they certainly need to be heard, and you know, certainly deserve to people to hear their truth for sure.
Definitely. So what date is that conference?
It's definitely on the 29th of September. It might be on the 28th as well. In fact, I've got a meeting just after this now. We're just going to confirm.
That's crazy. That's the exact dates that my conference
Yes.
in America in Colorado is coming out. But again, you know, I've set it up so that anyone
Great minds, Daddy.
I'm
Great
telling you,
minds.
and something about those dates, because I always I pray into it, like everything I do.
Yes.
I lean
Oh, yeah.
in energetically, and I ask for guidance, and then I trust what I get. And these were the dates that I was gifted, and the hotel worked out, and the but people can live stream. They can live stream all 3 days of the conference at GC Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, and because of the different timelines across the planet, you know, if you can't make it because it's mountain time in Colorado and you might be in New Zealand, let's say, or England, 8 hours ahead, or Africa, 9 hours ahead, you know, when you do click on whatever's been recorded, you get all the recordings. It's like Gnostic TV, everything that is going to be there for the conference. Those that can't attend, they can still watch it. They're not going to miss out. But what they're getting is another intense drop of uncensored information that we are forcing the dark side to shut up and sit down, so we bring it to the masses, because that's their job. And we're showing again our forthrightness, our legal and just dominance as humans, human to human. There's justice circles. I call them the circles of justice, you know, how the world should be run. And we are going to make sure it's run this way. So that's brilliant. Just a few notes on my conference to tell people again the level of speakers. So we have Dr. Michael Sala. People that watch the like Ancient Aliens and some of those shows, they would have seen Dr. Michael Sala. He is an Australian, again, prolific Australian researcher. There are people in the military, Shanti, at the highest level who trust that man. They trust him with information. They trust his books. They trust his research. And because of him and his friendship with JP, who I mentioned, the Army insider, who's going to be coming out on stage for the first time, telling the secrets about the secret space programs, the flights from American military bases to the moon, to the military base on the moon that looks like the Pentagon. It was designed the same way. All this information proven.
Wow.
And there ain't a single person anymore that can lie against it. Your time is done, you little scumbag. Off you pop, into prison or off my planet, because we are done with you. So we got Elena Danan, we got Dr. Michael Sala, we got Dr. Christiane Northrup. No, I know you know her, right? The great gynecological obstetrician that was blacklisted. She's coming on that stage again. Last year, Shanti, her Dr. Christiane Northrup's presentation was so shocking. She kept saying to me, Dani, what do you want? I said, just bring it. Bring it, my friend. Bring it. Oh, my God, she did. And this year, she's bringing it again. I got Dr. Lee Merritt this year, my friend from the American Naval High Naval Institution of Medicine. She was the Surgeon General almost of the military at one point, the High President. The stuff that lady has seen in the military as a naval doctor, a spinal doctor, she's coming out, she's putting it down, but she's also got information on some of the leaders of our time. Leo Zagami is going to love her, because some of the information she's dropping is right up there with his on the Illuminati, but the actual unredacted. We've got David Adair. David Adair built a rocket at 17 years old that rivaled anything NASA had, and the NASA and the Nazis, because you know NASA was created by the Nazis. It's a
Yes,
Nazi
for sure.
faction. That's why they don't let all the information out. And so they tried to kill David Adair because he delivered a rocket. When he realized they were going to use his rocket to bomb other countries, he blew his rocket up. And he had his dad on the phone burn all the evidence. So they sent him off to Vietnam to hopefully he'd be killed, and he survived that too. We've also got Jean-Charles Moyan, the French movie director, who is just, again, prolific in his own secret space program, soldier experiences that he has put into film, delivering so much information. We've got Tony Rodriguez. Tony Rodriguez was kidnapped by a satanic family, used as a sex toy in child torture programs with other children that the American military
Yeah,
sanctioned.
yeah, yeah,
So he's going to be
yeah.
talking. So many people like that on the stage at Galactic Federation Informers, September 27, 28, and 20. Right? Look at us, guys.
Sounds,
We're doing the heavy lifting, aren't we?
I was going to say, because also, we also, you know, I originally wanted it to be sort of Augustish, I think, or July, August. And then I went, no, the 29th of September, that's the date.
And it's an 11/11, isn't it? 2 and 9.
I love it.
11/11.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's incredible, and I'm very happy our great minds have thought alike, and
Absolutely.
no doubt that our viewers can get to listen to both actually. So I think really, you know, it's so amazing to hear these hard hitters as well coming out there and sharing truth. So it's wonderful
It
that
really
Dani,
is. You've
yeah,
got a bit more time because I've got a couple more things that you raised on your channel that I want to point them to. You good?
sure.
Okay.
Yes,
A
absolutely.
while ago, when bumbling Biden was bimbling out there on the lawn trying to make friends with all of the LGBT etc. alphabet people, and they had
Yeah,
that hideous looking flag, you know, and they pretended it was a pride flag. Now, you guys, you pride people that have been unfortunately manipulated and sucked down a road, this is probably going to trigger you, and that's all right. If it's going to light you up like a Christmas tree, it's good, because sometimes when you get pissed off, it drives you to take action. So that can be a
yeah,
good thing. So you did a decode with Jesse Zabota on the pride flag that they hung from the rafters at the White House
yes,
with the black
yes,
diamond, and she
yes,
decoded it, and it was absolutely shocking. And he had all these banana brains, all these people running round, you know, all the transitions, men to women, women to men, not mocking the real ones, not mocking those that really do need love and care. But they were so
yeah,
proud of themselves. And I watched it and I thought, oh my God, I feel so bad for you, lovely people. They are mocking you. You are dog
oh,
food. You are
totally.
dog food to them.
Yeah,
Tell us a
it's
bit.
monkeys in a circus. It's monkeys in a circus.
Right. Tell
Well,
us a
you
bit
know,
about that.
Jesse did that. I think it was part of our decode yesterday as well.
Oh,
In terms, I do believe it was the Rainbow Girls when she was doing the Knights and Priestesses. I do believe the shows. It was part 1 and 2. She goes very, very deep into it, but the name of the entity now, I have to say, would slip my mind, but basically it's part of the feminine demonic goddess entities that are in charge. Now remember, we talk about the Queen Mother of Darkness, who then has the 4 mothers that are in charge of each of the quadrants, and each of the quadrants have got their whole entourage of whatever goes underneath them as well. It's just one big spider's web, but really at the end of the day, it's all coming from the same source. They just do it differently. You know, each secret society does it differently. But what she was saying there is that people are thinking, you know, with the pride flag that was put up in front of, I think, on the White House or something,
yes.
that this is now supporting the gay community and what have you. But in fact, it's not. It's them literally handing over to some feminine entity. And I can't remember which one she said, but
Azeroth?
that's what that symbolized. Yes. I do believe that's the one. And that's the one that now has control. You know, she talks about contracts, who makes contracts with who. And it's so important. I mean, if you go and watch, for example, the decode we did a week ago on Paris Hilton's new album cover. I mean, there, the symbolism is rife. So she talks about how Paris, the name Paris, they've just made contracts with France, all of the stuff, and it's all written in the symbolism. So if we go and look at that and all of the stuff, like yesterday, we're going to be doing hats soon as well, decoding the different types of hats that they use, because the hats are symbolic, the brooches are symbolic, the wreaths are symbolic, the crosses are symbolic, and where what points what to. So it is such an intense sort of rabbit hole to go down, but man, oh man, I think that's the mama rabbit hole that we need to be looking at. If we can decode and understand how the system is put together, and if we can understand the language they speak into each other, we don't have a problem, because then we don't consent, because we have to consent to what they're putting. And it's, we already can start. I mean, how many people are still buying, blindly supporting Illuminati companies? Why are we not supporting our local farmers? And I know more and more people are actually going in that direction. But, we will fight about this and Bill Gates that and Monsanto that and blah, blah, blah. But yet every evening there we are in our local supermarket pushing our trolley. And I'm guilty of that from time to time. I will say that, most definitely. But I'm very grateful where I am now. A little farm community has opened up. Fresh bread, fresh milk, fresh butter, made by a local farming community. Now that's who I support.
Yeah,
so it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Egg,
right.
I'm a vegetarian, I'm not vegan. I love milk, and not so much milk, but more cheese. So I'll have that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I find that, and they make their own cheese around here as well. What's the one you fry? Halloumi. The best halloumi on the planet. Goat cheese. So, yeah. So stuff like that.
If we got everyone, even if people rent, anybody with a garden, anybody with a little bit of grass, dig up half your lawn. And if it's not your real lawn, then just save the turf, plant your food, plant your seeds. But you gotta research the seeds now, because Bill Gates, he went and stole gazillions and gazillions of original seeded seeds.
Yes.
Why did he do that? Right? We've got to do so much ourselves. Listen, one other thing, because I know you've got to go soon, that you raise, again, that I want the people that see you, some maybe for the first time, before they come subscribe on your great channel. And please do, guys, please subscribe to Shanti's channel, Aquarius Africa Rising, for all the information I'm giving you.
Aquarius Rising Africa.
Oh, I did it again. Oh my God, Aquarius, and I'm an Aquarian. I should remember that.
Dani, for you, it's what did you say? Africa Rising Aquarius. What did you call it?
Just the wrong way around, just the dyslexic way around. Oh my God.
Please carry on. I have to. It's such a good chuckle. So when you say it like that, it'll give me a good laugh.
Oh,
so
good.
Please carry on. I give you permission.
Well, another thing that you raised that, again, I know is incredibly so important for people to get is understanding. And I don't know how much of this you can go into, but the spiritual gates. And children of famous people born in certain places on our planet, because that allows them access to a spiritual gate. Can you give us a little drop?
Yes. Obviously, a part of, this Earth's dimensions. We have different 9 dimensions, actually. So a lot of what happens is actually not outer space, but it's inner space. So a lot of the stuff that we're seeing, and especially, again, if you're listening to Caleb's series on the Shinkana, and also Jessica Jones, who comes on my channel, and she's also got her own channel, The Cryptid Huntress, where she, we talk a lot about cryptids and the stuff that these guys come across, okay? So yes, basically what happens is, of course, there are spiritual gates that open up between the dimensions, so to speak. So the way that these spiritual gates open up in a forceful way, right, is by the dark elements using sound. So that's why you're going to see a lot of these kids, the hierarchy kids, especially the hierarchy kids are the bloodline kids that get taken into the system via their families. They really have no choice. Like the likes of Jesse, Caleb, Rachel, Joanne, all the ones we speak to on the conference, right? So you'll often find that these kids have got lots of musical gifts, very strong musical gifts, because sound music is one of the things that opens up the spiritual gates. But it's not just that. Then they use sex magic as well. So unfortunately, there's, and it depends. I mean, I don't want to say this is the same at every gate. I don't know, but I don't believe it's the same at every gate. Are they going to do it differently to get a different entity or whatever the case might be, right? And then often blood rituals, blood sacrifices, stuff like that, because of course, all the negative entities, that's what they feed off, blood. That's their lifeline. So with that, then they are able to open spiritual gates between dimensions. And what happens, and they're doing it anyway, don't think they're not doing it, because then through these gates come these creatures of the night that then, and they are, you know, and I agree with you. There are genuine aliens or otherworldly creatures. To me, alien sounds like a NASA experiment now. You know, when I hear the word alien, it sounds, I see the spaceship with NASA written on the side, you know, flying through the sky. You can't be taking that shit seriously, right? But anyway, but they are. But then, and then if you speak to someone like Caleb again, they'll talk about they're using the Raphaim, which are the sons of the Nephilim, right? That are these lower, dirty entities. They can't create bodies. They're too lower vibrating to incarnate and create their own body. And they've pretty much been, I guess, abandoned or shut off and, you know, go to hell type thing. So they're in hell. So what they do then is they would obviously either be able to transmute themselves into a physical form and take on a physical form, or they wait for a body that's available and then they take over that body. And that's oftentimes, if you've been listening, Jerry Marzinski is also speaking on the show. Jerry Marzinski is taking on the medical mafia, because schizophrenia, he's discovered, is not voices in your heads. It's literally entities that have taken over your body. Yeah. Yes, and driving. And then when you speak to someone like Caleb, will confirm that, because in the arcane, the prisons and psych wards are two of the main places where the guys in the arcane work, because trauma opens up. It's like a rip in the consciousness of that person. So that gives them access. So often, the only time you're going to find a child's body that's possessed is when there's trauma in the home or abuse or something. So they're going to find, these predators are going to find these victims, right? And then they literally take over the body of that child. And that's often you're going to find what happens with serial killers. And then they control that. The will of that child or that person has now been taken out by one of the majors using crystals, right? They call them soul gems, to harness that soul. So the soul, the person is alive, but the soul is out here being, and that soul is now powering the mages and the witches. It's like a battery for them, while the person is being drained. That's what happens when we're looking at stuff like this. And that's how what happens, that's how these entities attach to people. So Jerry Marzinski is another one who has seen that and taken on medical mafia around that. Fascinating. And Caleb will confirm that that's how it works. Very fascinating.
It's so beyond disturbing, the concepts, because they come in as concepts, and we hear someone like you, and I'm so proud of you. I mean, I don't want to bang on too much, you know, the fangirl worship here, but I'm a bit of a fangirl when it comes to you. I love that, you know, you hold the space for these great people to share their experiences, not, you know, and you've had many of your own experiences, but I'm loving that you're sharing what you've retained, and you're delivering so beautifully and so cohesively, you know, and it's important because some of the concepts or some of the ideas you're sharing or some of the realities you're sharing some people watching this will have never have even brought to mind that these things happen. And this is how we get where we're going. And I think that there is something happening in people now. There's so much more light on the planet that we are all excelling. We are all moving faster. Quantum thought is happening at a quicker, gallop, and people are easily able to catch up more than they ever were. There's no more like, oh God, I've got so much to do. It's just almost quantum in the moment. And it's great that we're dropping these deliberate subjects, you and I, between us, to help our audiences, the beautiful people on the Seeker's Journey. And one other thing, that one name I forgot to mention, I'm glad you did, because I've been watching her as well, and that is Jessica Jones, the cryptid huntress. I am so enjoying that girl. When I first saw her years ago, I reached out. I really wanted to interview her on my channel, but some people, we don't find each other. We just don't. Emails get lost or whatever. But you got her on your channel, and she is. I believe her. I think she's a good person. She's got so much information. Do share a little bit about Jessica Jones, the cryptid huntress, please.
Yeah, she's so cool. She comes on my show every second Tuesday, and once a month I try to have her and Caleb on together, of course, with his underworld Shinkana. And the Shinkana really means the underworld. It's the underworld tunneling system, and it says the place where one forgets oneself. And of course, the underworld is hell. And isn't that what sin is all about? Forgetting your name. So you go to these places and we forget who we are, right? So she works a lot with a lot of these guys. She does remote viewing. She's been taught by the US military super soldiers how to remote view. And she goes out with these military guys, cryptid hunting, Bigfoot. I mean, and again, when you speak to someone like Caleb who's been there, these things are real. They are existing. It's not fairy tales. And this is what we try and do here as well, Dani, is we try, and it's not fear porn, but it's about realizing that these things exist. And the more these controllers are going to feel like they're losing control, right? Because they are, the more they're going to try and scare the bejesus out of us. So they're going to start releasing more and more of these things into the Earth's atmosphere. And of course, there's always an equal opposite, right? Let's never forget that. As much as what they are doing this, I mean, God, creator, divine creator, let me tell you, there's incredible things going on as well. But I also believe it's the time for us to come together and, understand where true transformation begins. So when you fear these things, they're going to get to you because they vibrate on a vibration of fear. But when your frequency has been raised and you are flying above the swamp, they can't get you anymore. And this is what I keep saying to people. And often people will mock me and say, oh, raise your frequency, raise your vibration. I'm going, you mock me, but that's exactly what needs to happen. Duh.
100%.
So the question lies in how do you raise your frequency? And that is a question each person needs to ask himself. Because there are different things that are going to be holding different people back. And it might have nothing to do with religion. It can have everything to do with fears, limitations, being a gossip, whatever. Any of those fears hold you back, and it does not let you transform and move through the bottleneck. And right now, we've got to move through that bottleneck. And your transformation, it's a frequency, it's a key. It cannot be fooled. It's a key that unlocks something in you, and then you fly. You can't force it. You can't get someone to do it. The arcane guys can never emulate that. They can bend and twist and push and pull and contort and do disgusting other things, but they cannot emulate God's true frequency. And only when you align with God's truth will that frequency and that key open up for you. It's like anything else. I mean, you look at the arcane. Again, anything there, they've got to do keys and masks and things, blood groups. You've got to have the right blood thing, and then that opens. They work like that. Of course they do. But when you work with alignment with Creator God, divine source, divine creator, whatever you choose to call it, You don't have to try. You've already tried. You've come up the mountain. You've done your shadow work. You've cut your crap. You've transformed your bullshit. You understand what you need to understand. You feel it beyond a shadow of doubt. And then, kaboom, things start changing in a heartbeat.
That is so right. That is so true. And, you know, something else really beautiful to, again, help our beloved, you know, beautiful brothers and sisters, whoever they may be anywhere on the planet, is the fact that you know, it's so obvious, and I know so many people know this, is sometimes a little reminder is good, you know, that there's no such thing as a side. When it comes to the individual journey of the spark of God that's in with you know, the creator energy that we came from, the soul spark, there actually is no side. There's no Trump v. Biden. There's none of that shit, because this is the journey that we're on. And we could be with two other people either side who are on the same journey, similar experiences, but their frequency key is different. We're not going to get through by leaning on them or leaning that way or them leaning on us. It is an independent, each individual, individuated soul spark is going to have to do the journey themselves. There's no shortcut.
It's like all of us, at some point in time, as human beings, we've had to walk very far away from God, our creator. It's part of our journey here, to wander away like any child, right? And it's like in our wandering away from truth, we've dropped our weapons of truth, so to speak, right? And now when we come back, we've got to find them again and pick them up. Find your faith again. Find your courage again. Find your truth again. Find the things that you thought you lost. They're not lost, they're just disguised. And all you need to do is just sit with yourself, go within, pray, meditate, trust, and have that faith. And that's going to be the thing that takes us up. And it's got nothing to do with the Catholic Church or the Mormon Church, any church for that matter. It's your relationship with God. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so beautifully said, and thank you for that. And again, you know, like me, you don't follow, you're not a diehard Christian or a diehard Catholic. You are a spiritual lady.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I love humans. I love God. I love creation. I love nature. There's no ways anyone, if they're a different denomination and they need my help, I won't help them. I will help humans. I will help animals. I will help anyone who's in need, and I can. That's it. And it doesn't matter. And I work with love. And I don't mean I'm always loving myself. Sometimes I can get very cranky. I'm not going to lie, but I get over it quickly. So I'm certainly not perfect or flawless, but I know where I'm going, and I know myself, and that's important. I know who I am. And that's important for us all.
Yeah. It's so beautiful, and everybody has value, and there's so many things we've learned, like the black, you know, the beautiful black people, the dark brown people, you know, they naturally inhabit a richer DNA, which is why they've been so sacrificed and genocided. And true facts like that blow people away, and then the program kicks in. That's racist. No, it's not. Don't be socially engineering me. I'm not playing any games, you know. But those honorings of our brothers and our sisters, you know, and sharing the real truths, you know, the real heritage, the real history, before it was, you know, attempted to be decimated again. It gives me the greatest joy to see the failings and the failure of the system, the demonic satanic system. Satan is the biggest friggin' loser. Lucifer is the biggest loser that ever walked the face of the earth. I mean, what a knobhead, you know, going against the lie. Are you having a laugh, mate? Anyway, you know, right? So one thing I wanted to bring to people to help them is, as many of your viewers that watch too, a lot of children are born awake, like Caleb, like you, like me, like Jesse Zabota, for example. So many of us are born with memories. We've seen demonics, as I did, and was physically traumatized and harmed as a little child. And what I did was I put my actual experiences in this book. This is from birth, my physical interactions with aliens, demons, and aliens. They are not the same thing. They mimic, The bad
Yeah.
ones pretend, but they're not the same. You know, Shanti, when I see someone like a preacher on a preacher channel saying that demons are aliens, I'm like, you've never had an experience. Have you even had a spiritual experience with anything, or did you just go to theological college? Sorry, not sorry. Because if somebody actually did, Shanti, have a real experience, they'd know that's a lie. These three
Yeah.
entities are physically different, but some pretend
Yeah.
to be each other. So this book,
The demons are actually what people call demons are actually the Raphaim. Raphaim. Yeah, that's the kids of the Nephilim.
right, then that's when fallen angels. Okay, that's
And that's the offspring. It's the offspring of the Nephilim.
right.
Yeah.
So anyone that needs help, can't afford to come to a conference, can't afford to come to Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, etc., you can get this book. It's $22, I think, on Amazon. It gives you insight from a child from birth to now, navigating so many stories. People have read this book, Shanti, and said, oh my God, I saw myself. No one's ever explained it to me like this before. I want to help. I'm here to help. I'm here to support. You can get my book. You might find yourself in it, but it will answer questions on these entities and also give you a ton of paranormal insight and investigation. And one thing I will say, Shanti, a warning I always give everybody, no matter what level of the speaker's journey they're on, don't mess around with a Ouija board. Don't
Yeah,
channel
please.
entities through your body. Don't try and become Mother Mary and tap in and start spewing.
It's a spiritual gateway. It's a spiritual gateway. You see, stuff like that is how you give these entities permission. There are many spiritual gateways that they can use, and that's certainly one of them. So no, absolutely not. Don't even come close.
Exactly. Well, you beautiful goddess being on the planet at the same time.
Mirror, mirror.
I love and adore you, and
Lovely.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you, so proud of you, and I honor the work you've done, and that you are on 3 or 4 times a week on your channel. At least you are live. You are putting in the work, my love. Your channel is slowly going up. Oh my God. And I bet you lose subscribers every week like I do. The BoobTube police steal from,
Yeah,
don't they?
no, they
What
do. And then
low-enders.
the next thing I'll have like 300 less than what I had the day before. And
Right.
then, yeah, but it's all good. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You know, I don't even like to give that energy. Just do what I do, and we're going over to Gnostic soon. So come and join us over there, uncensored. We won't have none of this nonsense going on. And I want to wish you well with your conference as well. And thank you so much for having me on today and having a chance to talk to you as well. And definitely, we'll be talking soon again on my channel. I know we're both going to be posting, sharing this interview, which I think is wonderful, because we both got a conference coming up on the same weekend. You don't have to be overlapping anything. I'm sure you're going to have your chance to watch everything, and I think it's amazing that people like our guests are talking and sharing now. So thank you, Dani, for having me on again. It's such a fun.
And you too, my darling, you too. And to everyone out there watching again, please remember to go over to Aquarius Rising Africa YouTube channel with Shanti here, Chantelle Meyburgh, and subscribe. And guys, watch both of our channels. I'm Dani Henderson, D-A-N-I, Dani Henderson, GSIC, GSIC, for Galactic Spiritual Informers, the greatest disclosure conference on your planet. Because keep an eye on our channels, because people get unsubscribed by the BoobTube bullies in the back office, the robots out all the time. It's not me and Shanti unsubscribing you, it's the bullies who are taking who are kneecapping. So lots of love to you, my darling. Lots of love to you guys, the audience.
Bye, guys.
My heart to yours. Mwah. We'll see you soon, guys.
Take care.
God bless.